62% of Americans are now dissatisfied with the way their democracy works, and a majority believe the American dream is dead. The current state of American democracy is the result of rules rewritten over decades to prioritize the interests of the top 0.001%. The scale of modern individual wealth has become difficult to comprehend. One CEO's potential compensation package of $1 trillion represents 3% of the entire U.S. economy, a figure larger than the annual budget of the Defense Department. That concentration of capital is reflected across the entire country. The richest 1,000 families now own twice the total wealth of the bottom 66 million Americans combined. This imbalance creates a cycle where massive wealth buys political influence, which is then used to further modify the rules of society to favor the wealthy. Without changing the underlying structure of how power is bought, the cycle continues. This influence is most visible at the Supreme Court, the highest legal authority in the land. The court's public approval has reached historic lows as it increasingly bypasses judicial norms, using the shadow docket to issue major rulings without full briefings or oral arguments. These deep institutional failures suggest that the current system is under much more intense pressure than it can sustain. Simply trying to return to the political norms of a decade ago ignores the fact that those norms allowed these crises to develop in the first place. When the foundation of a building is no longer level, you don't keep repainting the walls. You have to address the base. Before any tax laws can be rewritten, the judicial referee must be balanced to protect the rights of the many rather than the interests of the donor class. Historically, the number of Supreme Court justices matched the number of federal judicial circuits. We currently have 13 circuits, but only 9 justices. Expanding the bench to 13 restores that balance, ensuring there is one justice for each circuit. This expansion lightens the individual workload for each justice, allowing the court to handle complex cases with proper deliberation instead of defaulting to rushed, unsigned rulings. A rebalanced court provides the necessary legal foundation to defend the constitutionality of broader economic reforms. In a democracy where money equals speech, unlimited wealth allows a tiny elite to drown out the voices of millions. Setting a wealth ceiling at $1 billion ensures that no single individual possesses the financial firepower to dominate the political landscape. Beyond personal limits, we have to look at the corporate tax code, which currently allows 88 of the most profitable companies in the country to pay $0 in federal income tax. Income tax fails because profit is a number accountants can manipulate. Market capitalization, however, is the objective value the public market assigns to a company. Taxing that value at a flat 1% closes the loopholes used to hide taxable income. This 1% fee acts as a maintenance payment for the democratic and legal infrastructure that makes these corporations possible. This single shift would secure $1.1 trillion in annual revenue. By taxing wealth directly at its source, the government can stop relying on complex accounting that currently shifts the tax burden onto the working class. Our current system often forces the middle class to pay a higher effective tax rate than the ultra-wealthy. Billionaires have noted that they frequently pay a lower rate than their own office staff. Shifting the tax base to wealth allows for the complete elimination of federal income taxes for the bottom 90% of Americans. The revenue is instead generated by a graduated wealth tax on those with the greatest ability to pay, capturing capital that is currently sitting idle. This is a moral choice. It removes the financial pressure from those struggling to get by while fully funding the public services they rely on. Combined, these wealth taxes generate over $8 trillion in annual federal revenue, roughly doubling the government's current receipts. That capital can then be used to fund Medicare for all, tuition-free public college, universal childcare, and 75 years of Social Security solvency. For the average family, the elimination of federal income taxes and payroll taxes returns an average of $1,000 per month to their household budget. To those who call this impossible, it is worth remembering that Social Security, Medicare, and the Apollo program were also once dismissed as unreachable fantasies. They became reality when the public demand for them became undeniable. We have the resources and the data to build a system that works for everyone. We simply have to decide whether our democracy will serve 1,000 elite families or 250 million Americans.